you today? I know it's not too late